Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Aaj bale kem cho, aaj sab kaise ho? I know it's been a little bit since the last time I made a video, but I've been traveling for the past 2.5 weeks, okay? But I should be back consistently now. Today's video is going to be on the topic of aloneness, right? Now, right off the bat, I'm just going to say the average, in this mental health sphere or whatever, virtual sphere, the average advice is going to be something along the lines of, don't be afraid to be alone. Love yourself, aloneness is great, whatever, right? And I'm going to add on my perspective from the point of view of that, okay? So, assuming you've been consuming that advice, this is my advice to that advice, okay? Don't necessarily seek aloneness, okay? If there are social opportunities present in front of you and you'd like to explore them, I would. And if it doesn't work out, or you notice a pattern of voluntarily social things not working out, it could be something inside you, right? Because your relationships are a reflection of your own energies, right? So there could be certain fears or certain imbalances inside you that are affecting this. Like, for example, let's just say you're alone all the time. Your fear of aloneness could be what's keeping you always alone, okay? And it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's just how this works. This is why I always say accept your fears, things like that. Because when you do things out of fear, it's never going to end well. Okay, it's just going to lead to disaster usually. That being said, okay, ideally and one other thing. There's nothing wrong with being alone, okay? It's just the modern mental health sphere, they only tackle the superficial problems, not the root problems. So the root problem here, like let's just say everybody has social imbalances these days, right? Including myself. I'm not an exception. The root problem is that, okay, you're not necessarily, you have some imbalances inside you that's causing, and a lot of people do, that's causing relationships not to work out or whatever, right? Like social, let's just talk about just social relationships, like just friends. And now you're all alone. So instead of fixing that root cause problem, the superficial is, hey, learn to love to be alone and all this, right? Now there's a benefit in that also that needs to be addressed, because sometimes you are going to be alone. You can't be with your friends 24/7. But you have to understand that you still are just tackling the superficial, right? So I just want to make that clear. Moving forward, it's actually almost impossible to fulfill a high amount of karma and be alone, right? Even if you look at most monks and things like that, priests, they're doing stuff for other people. They're still interacting somehow. So if you kind of just hide at home and watch TV and stuff, yeah, you're not dealing with any toxicity, which I'll get to that in a second, but you're not really growing at all, okay? So just want to put that out there. Now, when you are alone or when you have to be alone, there's obviously a lot of advice right now that's like the superficial of the superficial, okay? And let me explain right now what I mean. So I've noticed a pattern that people who like to be alone a lot, when they get in an intimate, like romantic relationship, in general, they get a little more attached than other people who are a little bit more socially outgoing. Okay, why? Because they literally are all they have. So the point here that I'm trying to make is that I've noticed a pattern that people who are alone a lot, it's not necessarily that they're stronger people or anything like that. They just are alone a lot, which it's not necessarily like good or making them stronger or something. I noticed that in general, I'm not saying for everybody, but in general, there could be some energies that they're suppressing and fears that they're not accepting that's keeping them alone, but that those imbalances are still within them and forming and growing, which needs to be addressed, right? So if you are alone, one of the things you need to accept is not liking being alone. Like, you just have to accept that. This is probably the biggest nonsense ever. To like, yeah, sure, you can like being alone, but it's okay to not like being alone when you're alone. That's is like it's okay to like working out. It's okay to not like working out, right? But it's just sometimes you got to do stuff, right? Like, it's just how it is. You don't have to like pretend to be joyful all the time. Joy is just an emotion. You don't have to force feel that emotion at all times. This is like the biggest nonsense I've ever seen. Okay, so your mind, your ego, it sometimes it likes to be alone, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, whatever it likes to do, it's always going to change. Sometimes you like interacting with people, sometimes you're annoyed at them. Sometimes you like being alone, sometimes you don't. Whatever's going on in your life, just accept. First of all, just accept mentally and emotionally what's going on. Do not try to change it. Okay. Now, what the superficial advice is trying to do is it's trying to low-key get you to possibly make some changes and then realize the root cause. But I don't think most people's consciousness is there yet. So I'm saying this now to get you to just accept it. Don't try to focus on the superficial, but focus on the root causes. So the root causes, the only way you're going to fix the root causes is by increasing your consciousness. So that's through meditation and things like that. You guys already know. And then you can go inside and work on your fears, like accepting XYZ or whatever, right? What you could be afraid of or what you could be fearing, it could be like anything out of like a million things, okay? I don't know. But some of the common ones are, yeah, afraid of being alone. But just because you're alone and you force yourself to be alone and you suppress and you try to like force yourself to think or feel certain things does not mean that those fears are just going away, right? That's not how this works. Like someone who just stays at home and watches TV all day, they could actually have the most fear of being alone, but that fear is what's keeping them in their house and not getting them to go outside, right? Because it's just how it works. It's like someone who's, I'm just going to leave it at that, right? Because when you do get an opportunity to go out, that fear of being alone is just stopping any healthy elevation of certain relations to take off. Okay, and that fear of being alone is actually what's still keeping you alone. It's a little tricky how this works. Most of you guys, I'm hoping, understand a little bit, but I can't explain the whole thing in this video. So if you have any questions or comments, you can let me know. I did want to just make this one quick video, okay, just to get back into it after a little bit of a break. So if you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.